Welcome back to Used to Sew, a podcast about sewing machines, sewing history, and sewing culture in the past and present. I am your producer and co-host, Aradia, daughter of your main host, T.R. Kelly, who is here today to talk to you about badged machines. This episode was prompted by a field trip that TR and I took to a local old mansion that had several sewing machines in it, including a machine she had never heard of, but could identify as a badged machine on site. Once we got home and did a little research, we had to come share the results with you all. This episode is definitely a jumping off point for multiple topics in the future, like Japanese clone machines, electrification of Eugene, Oregon in the early 1900s, and deep dives into the multiple machines that were on display in the museum, specifically since said museum had not focused enough on any of those particular artifacts in their written explanations at the displays. But today focuses on badged machines in broad, what they are not, and how to identify them in ways that are relevant to other sewing machine enthusiasts. We also have a bonus fourth section at the end of the show, which was actually our warm-up chatter, discussing my recently acquired love of quilting. There will undoubtedly be follow-ups on that topic in the future as well.
So welcome to Used to Sew, folks. As you might tell, I've got a little bit of rhinovirus happening, but that does not dampen down my enthusiasm for all things sewing machine related. And last week, my co-host here, darling daughter Aradia, took me to... Tell us about it.
I took us to the Shelton McMurphy Johnson House, which is a very beautiful, very iconic old Victorian house in Eugene, Oregon. It is the castle on a hill. It's the big green mansion at Skinner's Butte. It's iconic. Absolutely iconic. I grew up in Eugene, so this is a very beautiful, amazing house. And it has a really cool story. And recently, I went there for a rehearsal dinner for a wedding. And it was chock full of cool artifacts, of rugs, of chandeliers, of pianos, of kitchenware, and it was really cool, and it was full of all these informational plaques. It's like a living museum. And there was a cool exhibit in it about one of the owners, Letitia Carson, who was a Black woman in a very difficult time to be Black era of Oregon's history. And she had a very cool story, and this exhibit was there through the end of September. And I'm like wandering around through the house, reading the exhibit, thinking about how you have told me some of the cool lore of this house over time. And then I see this cool sewing machine and I'm like, that's it. Mom's got to come here. We got to go on a field trip. So yeah, last week we went on a field trip. My lovely husband was our driver and we took him out to lunch and we went on a field trip into the house and walked around without the chaos of a, rehearsal dinner. For a wedding. Because that was the thing, too, was like when I was there, I was socializing, I was being polite, I was masking, I was making nice with all the distant family. I was not really able to absorb the house properly. But like it's 3 stories tall, okay? There's multiple bedrooms. There's all kinds of artifacts from different eras. There's a scale model of the house in the attic of the house, not oriented correctly, might I add. It is oriented incorrectly with respect to the house, which is very annoying.
Oh, that is true.
There's this little tower on the side, which like I've been the kind of kid who has always wanted a tower turret on my house. My dream house has a tower.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's because of the Shelton McMurphy Johnson
yeah.
house.
Oh, yeah.
It was just called the Shelton McMurphy house when I was a little kid. The Johnson part is hard to remember. But that's the tower that made me want a tower turret. And they have it all set up as a little museum shrine to one of the later owners who was a World War II vet. And it's just got all this cool international flags and items that he picked up in his travels, just like in this one little room. It's every room is packed with lore about different owners. And it's so cool. And I saw one sewing machine and I sent Mom a picture of it. And when I took Mom there and there wasn't a wedding party full of people there, and we could just explore and examine and read every placard in detail. And there was a very nice-looking docent there who was obviously disappointed we didn't want the walking tour. But we didn't want the walking tour. We wanted to go read and chatter about everything ourselves. We did ask her a few questions at the end. But Mom found 2 more sewing machines.
3.
While we were wandering around.
3.
No, I found 1. I knew there was 1. And you found 2 more.
There's 4 though.
Okay, and then I forgot about 1.
You forgot about the little kid one.
Oh, right. The little kid changes. Yeah. So anyway, we went on this mission and Mom was just finding sewing machines left and right. And it was fantastic. It was so much fun. And we have now decided that Mom needs to do a bunch of research and create an additional modular exhibit to add to this place.
Oh,
because
yes.
they are not talking about the sewing machines at all. One of the sewing machines had a placard next to it being like, this is the machine that the hired seamstress would use, and see how it's placed in a south window for good light. But there was no lore about the sewing machine model or the technology of those or anything like that. And they need that. It's a house full of what is clearly different modular exhibits that different enthusiasts have added. And they need you to do sewing machine stuff. So that will probably be like a winter project that we present in the spring at the soonest.
They need me. Absolutely. Yeah, because there is so much sewing machine stuff. This is going to be a deep dive into all kinds of weird stuff just sparked by one of the machines at the house.
Right. Yeah. The machine I saw first, the first one that was obvious. That's where this is all today.
Yeah. So here we are. We're wandering around the house. And of course, as anyone with a special interest, I'm keeping my eye out for what my special interest is, sewing machines. In the dining room, underneath a silver service, I see those cast iron legs and those drawers. But there's this tea service sitting on top of it, so I can't pop the top and actually see what it is, but I'm going to guess Singer 127. Okay, so then we go upstairs and we see the one that Aradia saw, which is a white long shuttle, not a white rotary, a white long shuttle. Now, I had heard about this machine just recently that it had the weirdest bobbins. So, of course, I slid open the thing. Yes, the shuttle's there. There's a bobbin in it. And I take it out. This is a bobbin that has a pin inside the bobbin case, and the bobbin has a hollow center and it slides onto this pin. It's so bizarre. So there it was. I read about that and there it is. Wow. And looked all the rest of the drawers. The drawers of this machine was packed with all kinds of notions and bits and bobs. Oh, I so just wanted to go through that and catalog it all. But then, we got to go see more stuff. Went into another room and there it is. What is that? Oh my God, the decals. I've never seen decals like that. What kind is it? Get right up to it. Gievert's Special. What the hell? Gievert's Special.
Right. Like, I don't know everything about sewing machines, but that doesn't seem like a name that you've mentioned in all of our talks so far.
No, because it's a badged machine. Yes, today we're going to talk about badged machines. You might have heard this term. Show me your badge. So, there is no machine called Gievert's Special. But of course, okay, I got to go to Google and look it up. What the hell is Gievert's? It's the last name of a guy who owned a massive furniture store in Portland, Oregon, which is just 100 miles up the railroad line from the Shelton McMurphy house, right? So now we're talking, we've got a... Can you hear the meowing? Can you hear the meowing?
Yeah, I can hear her.
So now we've got some local history here. We've got a local furniture chain selling badged machines, one of which wound up in the Shelton McMurphy Johnson house. How did that happen? Did they actually buy this machine from Gievert's? Gievert's was the fellow's last name. He came up to Portland from San Francisco. He's a Jewish fella. And then again, that gets into the whole rabbit hole of Jewish tailoring and Jewish textiles and stuff. So anyway, Mr. Gievert's came up to Portland, started a furniture and dry goods store. Pretty soon we got appliances, da-da-da. Of course he wants a sewing machine. All the good department stores at the turn of the century, you had to have a sewing machine. Now this is turn of the century, I'm talking 1900. This is like all of the patents of the sewing machine combination have expired. It's not just Singer and White and Davis and all those guys anymore. Sewing machines are like everywhere. Everywhere. Every department store wants to sell their own with their own name on it, right? But you can't build, it takes a lot of machinery, as we've seen, to build a sewing machine. So what do? You contract an existing manufacturer and have them make, say 10,000 machines with your name on it. So it's their machine, but you put whatever name you want on it. And there was even books of decals that you could pick out which decals you wanted on your machine. So the decals on this Gewurz Special were something I'd never seen before, ever. It's like, what the heck is that? All kinds of weird colors. But there's a space in that decal thing right on the arm. There's a big space so you can put your name there. And it's stenciled Gewurz Special, but it's not the same quality of paint as the rest of the decals. See what I'm saying? You can tell this is a badged machine.
Right. There's like the standard decal magic, and then there's slapping someone else's name on it.
Yeah, and the badge names are always just slightly different than the rest of the decal color, so you can tell. So once you know, this is so funny because people will get on a sewing machine group and go, I think I found a really rare sewing machine. Oh my God, it's a Gewurz Special. No, it's not really rare. It's a badge machine. So who actually made this Gewurz Special? The National Sewing Machine Company, which was the champion of making badged machines. I don't even know if they made any under their own name. The National Sewing Machine Company of Belvidere, Illinois, was formed in 1890. The firm appears to have specialized in producing badged machines for retailers. Okay. So this might trip in your mind. Oh, Kenmore. Kenmore is an entirely badged line, though. That's a little bit bigger than just... I got a machine once. I was at a thrift store, and it was called Western Auto. I'm like, what? Western Auto? That they sell tires and stuff like that.
They didn't get into sewing machines. They just decided to add one of these, almost like a franchise kind of sort of thing. Like they don't actually have to do the work. They just have to pay to have their name put on it instead of someone else's. That's it.
Right. So they would send a telegraph to the National Sewing Machine Company. Hey, this is Isaac Gewurz in Portland, Oregon, and I want an order of 1,000 sewing machines with my name on it, treadles, da-da-da. What price are you going to give me? So they'll give him a price on the basic lot, and then he'll bring them in and he'll sell them at, a slight markup. So machines, you could buy full treadle machines in this era of all these crazy names and stuff for about $20. Sometimes as low as $15. A whole sewing machine.
Wow.
This is like quite a bit less than a Singer or a White.
Yeah, that's a lot less than other prices we've talked about in a similar period. This is different. This is discount, not discount, bargain bin?
Not even, because these were good machines. There wasn't anything wrong with them at all.
Sure.
But they didn't have the entire Singer corporate structure to support financially, right? Advertising, da-da-da-da-da. Just look at any brand name of thing today, and there's a Chinese knockoff. And sometimes the knockoffs are even better.
Sure.
Sometimes not.
Sometimes they're being made in the same factory by the same people. They're literally the same product. It's just different packaging at the very end of the process.
Yeah. And a lot of times, then, okay, with these badge machines, where do you take them when they break? You didn't buy it from a dealer. You can't take it back to a dealer.
No relationship with a dealer like you were talking about before.
Right? So I bought this Gewurz Special. Where do I take it to get serviced? Who made it? You, the customer, don't know that. So you would wind up going to your local just sewing machine fixer person, and they would know what it was because there's like 5 or 6 manufacturers that are making thousands of badge names. Thousands. I'm trying to find this page here. Hang on a second.
I had a badged machine.
Yes.
At one
Tell
point.
Us. No, not only was yours badged, it was a clone, and we'll explain that in a minute. But tell us about it.
Well, I was just thinking about it because it wasn't even decaled. Its badge was literally a metal faceplate that was screwed to the front of the machine because I'm hyperlexic and I read constantly and I don't like words in my face, I unscrewed it and took it off. So I don't even remember what the name was anymore because I immediately took it off as soon as I got the machine. I was just like, that will not do. I will not be reading that word forever and ever. I want to say it was Brother, but I know it's not because Brother's a real machine company.
I think it was Bradford.
It was something with a B.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was definitely something with a B. And yeah, that machine was a solid rose pink with a, impermeable finish and no decals at all. It was just pink and had that word in swirly text that was literally a removable plate.
Yeah.
When I took it off, like the paint was fine underneath. Like I could have screwed anything there. Literally, you could have screwed anything to that machine.
Yeah, that was a literal badge. There's some people that just collect badges. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
And the reason it wasn't even painted on, right? That machine was a Japanese Class 15 clone, which were made, late 40s through the 50s, which coincides with when you said grandmother bought that machine.
Yes, that machine would have been bought when it was new. And she never used it. It was brand new. When I got it, its personality was a blank slate. And then I ended up not keeping it because college was hard on having stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it brand new because she got it brand new and then put it in a closet for 40 years.
I'm going to bet that Bradford was the name of a store.
Or 60 years, I guess, by the time I got there.
I'm going to guess that was the name of the store that was selling that machine.
Which would have been in Houston. That's where they were at the time.
Yeah. So we'll get into Japanese clones a whole nother time because that's a fascinating story. I want to stick back to the badged turn of the century 1900 National Sewing Machine Company. Okay, this is just a really cool little paragraph from somebody's website here. The website has a weird name. I don't want to read it because it's weird. But they say there isn't a company that actually owned their own factory and manufactured these sewing machines. Instead, the seller whose brand name is on the machine actually made a contract with a manufacturing company to build a specific number of sewing machines that the seller could then slap their brand badge on and sell it as if they had their own specialty sewing machine shop of their own, like Singer, Bernina, Necki, or Elna. So, yeah, you're not buying it from a dealer. You're not paying a dealer's price. You're not going to get the dealer's service. That's pretty much the same no matter what. Okay, so when we got home and I looked up the Gewurz special and saw that, yes, it's a badge machine, and then I'm like, well, who made it? So I went over to the best vintage sewing machine site on the web, in my opinion, which is victoriansweatshop.com, and I posted a picture of it and said, okay, I know this is a badge machine. Who made it? And right away, like several of the old timers, that's a national. And then they gave me, here's a whole bunch of national badge names. Check some of these out. Arcade, Aviator, Belmont, Belvedere, Blue Ridge, Brewer, Deluxe, Diamond, Gloria, Fisher, Imperial, Improved, Nape, Kroger's Queen, La Golondrina, Manhattan, New National, Ohio Farmer, Queen of the West, Sowell Steinway, the Bruce, the Burdick, the Roberts, Vindex, Vindex C Special, and on and on and on. And that was just the National Sewing Machine Company.
Wow.
Our old buddy Davis also sold a line of badged machines, but they were not vertical feed. They were what Davis called underfeed, which is just basically feed dogs. So Davis made I found a Davis. Actually, I was in Yuma last year. Oh my gosh, what's this? A treadle sewing machine. Open it up. Beautiful decals. Wilson. Okay, now there was a Wheeler and Wilson way back in the 1800s, but this is obviously a more modern 1900s long shuttle Wilson. And the gold on the Wilson does not match the gold on the decals, right? So I get on, this is a Davis underfeed Model N. So it's like, oh my God, Wilson. That one actually, nothing special about it. I stripped all the good parts off, and it's a carcass out in the desert now. Sorry, but that's what it's doing. It's watching over a grave out in the pet graveyard. So Davis made them. National. There's a zillion. Okay, so somebody might come up to you and say, oh, well, that's a Singer, even though it doesn't say Singer on it. People, if it doesn't say Singer, It's not a Singer. Singer never made badged machines. Never. Not once, not ever. In the old days. I'm not sure what they're doing now. But Singer never made a badged machine. They did not want to dilute their brand. It was like, this is Singer. We have Singer stores. You buy your machine and you buy that whole national network of stores, no matter where you go. Every town had a little Singer shop. So they were like the dominant thing. But, a $50 sewing machine, well, I could get this one for $18.24 delivered from Montgomery Ward's catalog. Oh, a lot of badged machines came out of Montgomery Ward's and Sears. They didn't make their own machines. They were badged. Sears didn't start their Kenmore brand until the 60s, I think. Maybe the 50s. And they were all made. Early Kenmores were made by White. And you can tell it's a white rotary. If you know what a white rotary looks like, this looks like a white rotary, but with a really square body. But it's got this weird slide plate with a thumb latch. Okay, you can tell. So when you're trying to figure out who made this machine, you're looking for the field marks. If you see that huge slide plate with the thumb cut out and the latch, White made that. Nobody else made that. White made that. If you see, this National that I'm talking about with the Gewurz Special, they have a little inspection plate on the upper arm. The tension is down low on the nose. There's these 5 things you can say, that's a National. So once you start recognizing the actual machinery parts and not looking at the names, then badged machines can be kind of fun. It's like, who made that? Who made that? There's this whole list on Victorian Sweatshop where they're trying to come up with every national badge name. And it's in the hundreds already. But they did not have the Gewurz Special.
You got to add a new one to the list?
I got to add a new one to the list. Because it's very regional, right? It's like Gewurz Special. This is from
right. This is a Willamette Valley phenomena.
Portland, Oregon. They had the store expanded to, I think, Salem and Coos Bay for a while in the 50s. But then it went back to Portland again because, competition from other places. Gewurz was in business for 100 years. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, it would be fun to find out like some actual nuts and bolts about their sewing machine display. Did they have somebody demonstrating them, or was it just, here they are, take one home? Because that's another thing, paying somebody to demonstrate and teach. That's what Singer had on everybody. When you bought a machine, you got their complete sewing course for free at the store. You'd go in the store and you'd learn. So yeah, it's a $50 sewing machine, but there's a lot of other stuff that comes with that. So, badge machines. When you find a machine that's got some name you've never heard of, it's a badge machine. It's not something new, special, exotic, rare. It's badged.
I am just so pleased that you were able to add a new name to that big attempt at a comprehensive list, like on the big website. Like, that's just so cool.
It's so awesome because every little department store at this time when this badge machine thing was going on, 1900 about 1920, even farther, but the heyday of it, definitely turn of the century. Literally thousands in every little, there weren't chain stores. See, there just weren't chain stores yet. There was the mail order houses was the closest you had to a chain store, Sears and Ward's. But every other little store in Omaha would have a different furniture store than somebody in Abilene, Texas, or somebody in Los Angeles. And each one of those little stores would contract with National or Davis or whoever, make me 1,000 machines, and I want the floral decal scheme, and they want them to say Priscilla, because that's my wife's name, or whatever, right?
Right, yeah.
So people do collect. Of course, it's really hard to collect entire machines, but I've seen people collect actual physical badges, like the one that was on your machine that you can peel off with rivets. I don't know what I think about that. Collecting pictures is fun, though. Looking through all of these badged machines on Victorian Sweatshop, like, look, here's a National. And you start looking at it, it's like, yeah, it's the same darn thing over and over.
Right. You can see underneath the aesthetic superficial differences.
But so many people, when they look at a machine first, they're looking at, look at the pretty decals. What kind is it? And they read for the name.
Right, yeah. Which was the point. That's the point of how they did that. I mean, that's why they did it the way they did it.
So there's your lesson. Badged machines aren't any less of a good sewing machine, but at the time they represented a value kind of cut rate. I don't want to buy a Singer, but I want a sewing machine.
It's the store brand.
The store brand.
Instead of, this is the store, literally it's the store brand. This is literally the store brand. That's the energy. That's the vibe.
Also, in those back in the day, there weren't credit cards, but many stores had installment plans, right? So you could buy it on credit and take it home.
Right.
That was, Singer actually started that in the 1860s or whatever. But now it's like...
Right, but by the time it gets around to, like 60 years later...
Oh, people will buy stuff they don't have money for yet. Yeah, okay, cool. We can hunt you down and we can get your money.
It's easier to go into debt for smaller things, too. If it's $18.50 instead of $50, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, but it's not so much. It's fine. It's fewer payments.
Yeah, there's even people who collect repo machines. Singers, when singers would you got behind in your payments and they'd send out Gustav and Sven to come and get your machine, and they'd take it back to the shop, and it would have to have a sticker placed on the underside that said repossessed. They couldn't sell it, so they wouldn't sell it as new. And I actually saw some of those come through the store. It's like, oh, what a sad story. Oh, no. She got her sewing machine.
Taking someone's sewing machine. I mean, it makes sense, right? When you framed them as alternatives to, or not alternatives, but as analogs to cars.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense. It is that kind of a value-added possession. But, that's just mean. Don't take someone's sewing machine. Don't do that.
Oh, damn. Don't take my tools, brah. So yeah, after we finished gooing and awing over the Gewurz special, is there any more sewing machines in this house? In the children's room, there was one of those cute little pressed tin chain stitch machines with a picture of a very dour looking, I think maybe it was the Queen or something on it.
It was very dour, but yeah, it was so tiny. And I'm like, Mom, does this even work? You're like, yep, I absolutely did. It's a tiny little chain stitch machine for a tiny little child.
Yeah. So, yeah, 3 machines. Now, there probably would not have been 3 full-size sewing machines in the house when it was new. There would have been 1. And we read on the plaque there that they hired a seamstress to come and make clothes for the kids every fall. I mean, this is a mansion. The lady of the house didn't do her own sewing. Oh, and so these machines were all treadles, right? The house, I think we haven't told you guys that the house was built in 1888.
Right.
And that's right about when electrification was getting going in some places. Not public grids, but I asked the docent at the house, I said, when was the house electrified? And she got the deer in the headlights look, and I think it was always electric. Okay, it looks that way. The chandeliers coming out of the ceiling are electric ones that are supposed to look like gasoliers, but they do look original to the house. So I looked up, when did Eugene get electricity? Not till the 1930s was Eugene Water and Electric Board founded. But before that, there was all kinds of little, everybody would have their Delco plant, or the sawmill would be making electricity for the whole little town, like up at Marcola or out at Venina. So there wasn't a grid. So I'm going to guess that the Shelton McMurphy house had a Delco plant in the basement. And in addition to learning about their sewing machines, I want to learn about the electrical history of that house. And I'm going to go to the county museum and see if I can find more deep dive stuff about electrification and the sewing machines and the seamstress that would come and work. Just more about that 1888 through 1912. The house is, I think they've decorated it sort of to like it would have been in 1912. Something about 1912 was important there. So if you're in Eugene, Oregon, USA, and you get a chance to go visit the Shelton McMurphy house, it's right downtown, up on the hill. You'll see it.
Hard to miss.
$10 to get in. Super awesome. The other weird thing about all 3 of the cabinet machines was that the drawers were packed full of notions.
Not period correct notions either.
The Gewurz Special had things in its 4 drawers that were very old, clear up. It was like an archaeological dig. There were layers of notions. And the stuff on the top was like modern bias tape and stuff from the 70s. And there was even a repair tag in there from Montevilla Sewing Center, which is still in business in Portland, Oregon. And the repair tag was dated 1975. So that Gewurz special was being used clear up into the 70s? Wow. Who was using it? I want to know. Who lived in the house then? Or did this machine just get brought into this house and it's not original to it, but somebody said, hey, I have this old sewing machine. Can I display it in the museum? Oh, sure, it's old. So, does it belong there? How did it get there? So many rabbit holes. Okay, now I'm done.
Expect follow-ups. We will be following up once we do all the research and put this together and have a pitch to present to the house. We will share it with you here at Used to Sew as well.
I want to know why she didn't have a Singer 101.
Well, maybe she did under that tea service. We don't know.
I think, yeah, because that could go with Delco. Yeah, more. There's always more to learn about sewing machines, sewing history, and sewing culture here in Oregon and everywhere else. Stay threaded.
Quilting. I officially have hit the point where I would like to do nothing but quilt, and everything and everyone else can go fuck off kindly. Thank you.
Oh my God, you've got the illness. A quilter is born.
Just like that. Well, now I'm stuck at the, I'm assuming, pretty normal pinch point of, well, I did the top. I don't want to do the other part. I just liked the top. Can I make someone else do the, So that's the part I'm at.
You know, you can. It's called getting long arm service. You ever seen a long arm? A long arm, you wrap your quilt. Okay, so you have your top. We're just getting to the side here, folks. We're just going to tell Rady what a long arm is. Because everybody likes to do piecing, right? That part's fun. Making the top is fun. And then it's like, now I got to pick some batting and some backing. And then I have to actually do the quilting. Then I have to bind it. Yeah, I think I'll just piece another top.
Yeah, exactly the point I'm at. In my first quilt.
There's a lot of people with pieced tops out there. So the solution is to take it to a long armor, that's a hard word to say, Long.
Long armor.
A long arm sewing machine is you wrap the quilt top and the batting and the backing over these two little roller things so it looks like a scroll or a Torah, right? You got the picture?
Oh, yeah.
And then the machine is free floating. You drive it. It's got like, there's so many fancy ones now, but basically the quilt stays still and the machine head moves over it.
Oh, you've described this to me. Oh, and then I met someone a couple months ago who knows a quilt artist.
Yeah.
Like who has like a whole studio. And no, apparently that guy like sits in a cockpit in order to do his extremely fancy art.
There's kinds where you can just sit there and program in the quilting design that you want, the actual stitching design. The last time I actually saw a long arm in action was when I was working at that little sweatshop down in Junction City. Making RV furnishings. And the boss of the store was the guy that did the long arming, and he had just got this thing. And they were long arming comforters that match the pillows, that match the, all the stuff in the RV.
Sure.
What a and this one didn't have any computer control at all. He just actually drove it with his hands. And the idea of making the right amount of movement, getting the stitches, took practice. I think it's been improved on since then. So long arm service is what is keeping a lot of quilt stores in business. They'll sell you all the fabric, they'll sell you all the stuff, and then when you get to it's like, oh man. So long arm service, you go in, you meet with them, you take your pieced quilt, you decide on a batting and a backing and this and that. I have no idea how much it costs.
Oh, it's like a framing store kind of thing. You take your art in and you pick out the frame, but then a professional handles the glass and the matting and all that. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Absolutely, and all that stuff, yeah? But you can, a lot of people don't like the look of machine quilting anyway, so if you're somebody who doesn't like the look of machine quilting, you're not going to be into long arming. So you've got hand quilting, and then you've got another ultra lazy, quote, time-saving option called tying the quilt. This is where you got your top and your batting and your backing, and you're just threading through with a needle, like on an 8-inch grid. with some heavy thread or yarn and making little tufts, and that holds the whole thing together.
Oh.
That only works if you're using a bonded batting that doesn't shift and squirm around.
Oh, like that fuses to the one. Okay.
You know, like the kind that's in a sleeping bag.
Sure.
For all of the, dozen quilts I've made, I've just done machine quilting on a regular sewing machine. Yeah, it's kind of a pain, but that's how it's been done ever since there were machines. And somebody said, hey, I wonder if I could speed up this whole hand quilting thing here.
So, yeah, anyway, that's where my quilting journey is currently at, as I'm addicted to the piecing together, just as you predicted. I was just happy as a clam yesterday, just like pressing and turning to the machine and doing a bunch of chain stitching and then going back and pressing, because I had to...
Oh, absolutely.
For the folks at home, I have attempted my first quilt, but I just made pieces without counting. I was just putting together blocks for the sake of learning the mechanical skill, and I ended up with 5 blocks, and I just could not wrap my head around how to make a odd-numbered quilt. I needed a rectangle, so yesterday I managed to find enough pieces to make one more block to make the 6, and I was just happy as a clam putting that thing together. Like, I was just in a blissed out happy place. Like, my Candy Crush can just go away. It's amazing. It's amazing. And now today I sewed the blocks together, and I was like, oh no, there's a whole other part of quilting that I'm like reading the books. Like, oh, I don't want to do this though. That doesn't look like fun.
Oh, man.
So I figured that I could come tell you that, and then the people, you could all sympathize with me coming up against this thing that I'm assuming every quilter wrestles with.
Oh, yes, every beginning quilter. I mean, once you get that first quilt all the way done, right? I was going to say, oh, you just should go ahead and piece another top. You could. A lot of people, I mean, I have bought pieced tops, just tops, at thrift stores. Because people like to make tops and then, I'm never going to finish that, and they throw it out. And there's people who buy unfinished quilts. So it's a thing.
I'm going to have to go reach out to all of my crafty friends online and see if any of them are into the quilt labor exchange economy.
Once I show you how to machine quilt, because that's a small quilt you got there. That's like a window-sized quilt.
Yeah, it's the size of the layout table, essentially.
Yeah. I think I left you one of the books about machine quilting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did. That's the one that I've been reading.
That's a good one.
Teach yourself machine piecing.
Yeah. That's a good one.
It's got all the right instructions. I'm just like, oh, that doesn't look like as much fun. But I have found a stupid piece of fabric that I'm not into, then sewn it together so I have a big enough piece for the backing. And I'm pretty sure I have a piece of batting that I actually took out of something. It's like literally upcycled. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the whole thing all the way through. But I may also be on the quest for someone who wants to long arm for me.
I don't know if the new quilt store out in Florence does long arming. I know there's a couple in Eugene that do.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of people. If I just rattle my social network a little bit, I'm sure someone will pop up somewhere.
Yeah, or even somebody who just got one and is practicing in their basement. Remember a long time ago when we had an episode about sewing rooms?
Yeah.
And how sewing rooms have gotten bigger as more sewing equipment happens? Well, a long arm takes up a lot of room, people. It's 6 or 8 feet long, 4 or 5 feet wide. You know, you can get smaller ones, but this is like having a pool table in your basement. You know, this is serious stuff. But if you have a long arm, you're not going to make enough quilts yourself to pay for. I mean, maybe you will. I mean, my dad used to buy expensive tools just because he wanted to use it once. But if you're a person with a long arm, doing it for other people can be an awesome side income just for what you're talking about. People love to piece. They don't really love to assemble the whole sandwich. I'm not even to the finished block stage yet, so I'm still in the happily pressing and measuring part. But one thing about your Davis vertical feed. Now, this is a specialized machine for quilting.
Yeah, you did kind of sell me on you'll be able to quilt better, so I have to do it at least once.
Maybe not the actual machine quilting part, but putting on the binding, which is you're sewing through all these different layers that are trying to skew all different kinds of ways. So serious quilters that actually have a long arm and every other damn thing, the Davis is the last specialty thing they want to get. Let's get to the main topic here, shall we?
And there you have it, an explanation of what badged sewing machines are, as told through the lens of the Shelton McMurphy Johnson House's Gewurz Special. We talked about the house itself a little bit, discovered a rare bobbin, learned about the National Sewing Machine Company that made many of the badged machines that exist, crowed in victory at adding a new name to the big list of known badge names on victoriansweatshop.com, and set ourselves up for many more topics in the future. I knew about badged machines before this. As I said in the episode, I actually had one for a little while many years ago, but I hadn't really grasped the whole phenomena of what that meant at the time. Understanding them as the store brand version, stripped of the old school dealer-client relationship and exclusive aesthetic, made them make more sense to me. Same product, different presentation, different price point, different social standing. A logical progression, I guess, but also more sinister in hindsight, given how product diversity has increased in direct inverse proportion to quality over my lifetime. I don't know. We also shared with you our pre-show chatter about my new quilting obsession, and heard Kiffy the cat meowing. Any episode with pet noises is better than one without, right? We want to know from you 2 things. 1, have you ever encountered a badged machine? And 2, how do you feel about quilting, particularly the assembly stage? Let us know in the comments on this episode or send us an email. As a reminder, we are unofficially sponsored by Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, who do repairs and restorations. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and you can support us by sharing the podcast with your friends, and also with money at patreon.com/used2sew. Thank you for listening to us here at Used to Sew. We always welcome your additions, corrections, and feedback in general. Please reach out to us via email at usedtosew@gmail.com. Used to Sew is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.